sure that we are, there we go. Streaming correctly now. All right, the mastermind group, which is the main coaching group of hardworking plus or minus 40 people, have done some incredibly good work on what's called an avatar exercise or an ideal client exercise. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go through this whole thing. And for those of you that are watching, live on a couple of platforms here, I'm going to try my best. I'm working off of StreamYard and I'm working off of Zoom for all of you that are in the interior. I am going to try to share my screen on both places. We'll see how that all works out. Lots of windows open here, so you know what happens with tech. But the idea is it's not just the script and its precision that we use in telemarketing or in an outside sales moment in the house. It's also the questions that we're asking ourselves about the avatar or ideal client. Is this somebody that, even though there's some of the characteristics of willingness to do business, are they really the ideal avatar where we can set ourselves up for success? Because I've been doing this a long time, and I will tell you inevitably that we take on clientele that really weren't good clientele from the get-go. And it becomes a big challenge later on as you're doing business with them. Okay, so I'm going to show my own screen here in a second on these two things because I'm going to open this up. So sorry, you're going to see me kind of monkeying around with both of these things first, but I'm going to open up the scripting so that you can see it in a mind map. So somebody's going to give me a, okay, I can see your mind map now. Tell me when you can see it.
What's
hello guys, we're live here. Don't make me babysit mics, okay? So you got to be on here. Can somebody, Dean, you're there, can you tell me if you can see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, buddy. All right. By the way, please police your microphones. If you're going to talk in the background, I have no problem with that. Just mute me, all right? All right, so the idea here is that when we get into the scripting, and I'm going to talk to telemarketing first, and it's going to relate to outside sales. I was doing some work with Rebecca yesterday about buy side, because we talk a lot about the sell side, but this is a balanced business, and you're going to deal with buyer internet leads from time to time if you're a telemarketer, whether they be Zillow, whether they be lead capture, whether they be coming in off of Facebook or YouTube or whatever it might be. There's inbound leads that come in, and you have to deal with those as well. And you're going to see today how we work on that systematically. However, let's go back up to some of the things that I've never really discussed with you about the laws that are behind this. So a lot of you might think that this is a very tactical and technical coaching approach, because it is when we go through things. But I have to tell you, and you'll probably hear it today in some of the calls that come in, I have to tell you, the burden is on me first to fully explain why we say certain things we do. And for all you telemarketers listening, inside sales agents, business development associates, whatever you call yourself, making outbound calls, you have to understand that this isn't about making you comfortable. This is about properly serving somebody else on the other end of the phone. And there are human laws that dictate how we all behave. And you have to become fully aware of those things and why certain things work. So, for example, I have heard some of you that are veteran outbound callers make some calls, and I scratch my head. You've been around me for a long time, and I scratch my head saying to myself, you might think that sounds like what I just taught you, but it's 5 degrees off. It's 1 degree off. And when you set sail to try to figure out whether this is an ideal avatar or whatnot, you're way off course. So precision really matters when it comes to process. Let me repeat that. Precision really matters when it comes to process, any sales process. Okay? So when you look at this, the idea behind these things, I did this during the mastermind, I'm going to share it with everybody here. When I say your name with a question mark, and I say it in a certain tone, I am invoking the law of authority. Now, Autumn was very good at bringing this up a very long time ago. And it hit me, okay, she's intuitively talking about the law of authority, but I want to make it explicit that if I say your name, Dean, that's authority, and there's a question mark, and there's something in you that quickly gets upright and you respond, yes? Okay, so there's a reason why we try to say the name. And Mr. Miller, it doesn't matter how you say it. And again, I know one of the tricks is I have a woman's name, a man answers, I can make a guess. Mr. Miller, right? So you, whatever it is, you want to practice, but you want to understand that the simpler and more concise, as Autumn says, and I'm saying precise, meaning you know you're invoking the law of authority.
Never mind, I'm in.
Hang on, guys. Okay, we're trying to gain control. Okay, we're trying to gain control over that opening line. So when you hear these recorded calls and somebody's like, Mr., you're not ready. There's no way you're going to invoke the law of authority like that. Now you're already behind on the opening. Right? All that kind of stuff is just you're not prepared. You're not prepared properly. So my job is to prepare you properly. And week after week after week, it's more like training. So you stop fighting this. Whether you're fighting it because your fear is speaking for you or you just have to be right, you can't take direction, whatever, get over it. There is a formulaic way for you to be successful. And the sooner you embrace it, the better off you'll be. Dean, this is Danny Griffin calling from Griffin Realty Group. That is an authoritative voice. Okay, I recognize who you are, and this is who I am as a professional. It's a professional introduction, too. It's an authoritative professional introduction. This is Danny Griffin from Griffin Realty Group. That's an authoritative tone, and that's an authoritative business about real estate. But if you don't sound like that, you're just another pest. Understand that. You're making outbound calls into people's lives. They're all discombobulated by news about COVID, news about violence, news about politics, news about stock market volatility. They're overwhelmed to begin with. I haven't even gotten into their personal lives. So it's important to interrupt that with authority. That's why we say it the way we do. And it has taken this group a long time to bubble it up to understand that. Next. And by the way, I'm referencing a lot of techniques I learned from a book called Influence by Robert Cialdini. Every single person who just heard me say that, either live or recorded, should run and get a copy of Robert Cialdini's book, Cialdini. Run and get that book, because it will show you these big chunky laws that are used to influence people. And that's not necessarily a nefarious or negative thing. You can influence people in a positive way. It just depends on where you're coming from. So benevolence is what we teach here. We want to benevolently be there, but that doesn't mean you should be a shrinking violet. Okay? Benevolence doesn't sound like, I'm so smart. Well, it doesn't sound like that. It can sound just as authoritative as somebody who's malevolently trying to pursue somebody, trick them, take their money. It's a similar sound. And this is why people that are malevolent can sneak in, and we sit there and fret it. We'll do something about it. Be the one benevolent voice that shows up if that's all they hear today, okay? So I'm calling you because in Cialdini's book, he talks about an experiment that was held where there was a line for, this is back in the olden days, of course, but a line for the copier, and everybody was waiting for the copier, right? And so they would have somebody cut the line and say different things. And one of the triggers that had people become more courteous was the word because. I'll never forget reading that. So I used it here, and it's very easy for even me during a training session to say, the reason I'm calling you is, and drop the word. I've just taken an arrow out of my quiver and thrown it into the woods, right? So now you say, I'm calling you because. Now we trigger. Whatever that trigger is about the word because, I believe it's because people are leaning in to see, well, what did I do? This authoritative figure is calling me. What did I do? Or what's going on here? It's curiosity. So it's, it's provoking a law. I don't know that there's a law of curiosity, but I'm curious now. Immediately, I saw your beautiful home online. I can't believe how many of you are blowing right through that line. This is invoking the law of likability, which is in his book too. If I compliment you, you are more likely to like me. And I need you to do that for a very short window of time here, okay? I saw your, that's a key word for them, knowing it's about them, beautiful home. Your beautiful home. It's a compliment. And I noticed that it didn't sell. It's context. Okay? So in only 2 lines that come out probably in about 6 seconds, you have invoked the law of authority. You have used a very powerful trigger word because, so they're curious. And now you've invoked the law of likability. all in about, how long does this take? Dean, this is Danny Griffin calling from Griffin Realty Group. I'm calling you because I saw your beautiful home online and I noticed it didn't sell. 6 seconds? 10 seconds? What's that?
You talk about how powerful that is, and I'm sitting here, and I know you're not talking to me, and I'm kind of multitasking, but I'm listening to what you're doing, and every time you say my damn name, my head keeps popping up.
It's the point, isn't it?
I agree.
Yeah, it's the point. Hang on one sec. Turn some noise off in the background. It's so darn powerful, Dean, but yet we want to explain it away for some reason. We want to fight it for some reason. We are every single person on this call today, anybody listening online, we are the problem. So the idea is, if you want to become better at something, understand how human beings really work. And then in that context, how the real estate business really works. Those are the two things, Dean, that are the endeavor. So this is human behavior that you're not going to change. You're not going to change laws of behavior. There have been many, many smart people who have studied this, and people come to the same conclusion. You know, what do we say? No like and trust, no like and trust. Okay, well, let's use the law of likability. If they need to like us, well, then let's make them be complimentary. If they need to see us as an authority, let's open with that. And if there are trigger words because that gets you to lean in, why would you leave it out? Right? Now, the key next line is the law of gift giving or reciprocity is actually fundamental to the belief system here at the Realty Classroom. Okay? We believe that if you will give a very clear beneficial gift of information to people, it's a massive, unique selling proposition. People in sales are so covetous. They believe everything is so proprietary that they're always saying, well, until they give me, the law of gift giving or the law of reciprocity does not work like that. You need to give first. And if you listen to some of the smartest people in the digital age who have been online early, including Gary Vaynerchuk, he wrote a whole book hijacking the law of meaning he didn't come up with it, but he said it. Give, ask. And I heard it before him with the guys at Digital Marketer. I heard it before him with Dan Kennedy. He heard it before that with Marketers Forever. The law of reciprocity shows them the answer to what's in it for them very early on. So I'd like to send you something that will help you sell it the next time. And the implication there is with or without me. This is a true gift. I'm not looking for a gift, with hooks in it. I'm saying, look, I'm going to give you this information as a gift. Now, this is where my explanation to you matters. If I give them information, it doesn't mean that I gave them my insight. My insight is what makes me truly valuable when I finally get in there. Remember that. So all you're really doing is saying, I've basically sort of like a blog. The top 5 things to do this. Somebody has gone out, curated information, put it in the right order, and just gives it as information. That's what vlogging is. That's what blogging is. How to do this, how to do that. Top 5 things that get you this. That is just simply a gift of information that brings people in. That's why those things, those titles in some of these YouTube training classes or blogging training classes, people say to write articles like that because those are some of the biggest searched terms because people are early on in the process looking for the gift of information. And the greatest purveyor of information has been the internet, Google search. Right? Those are fabulous tools. That's why they've changed the world, because we can now go seek and get our own gifts that are waiting for us. In this case, with expireds or a follow-up to an inbound lead, we are proactively trying to deliver a gift of information, and I'll add service. Okay? Any questions so far from anybody? Guys tracking me? Anybody not tracking me, speak up. Okay.
Totally.
Yep. Go ahead. All right. I heard Charlie. I heard Rebecca. Go ahead.
Danny, you've been addressing the first conversation you have with these expireds, but is there any tweaking it on the second conversation, the follow-up call after they get the package?
Stay with me. I'll get there.
Okay.
Yep. Stay with me. It's a fair question. but I really am slowing this down, Charlie, because the answer to your question is if you haven't invoked the law of authority, if you haven't invoked the law of likability, if you haven't invoked the law of reciprocity, and finally, may I do that, if you haven't invoked a modern marketing law of permission marketing, okay, well then you're asking me a question about a call that has been set up in such a much more difficult manner. The minute you skimp on this stuff, I'll even call this, even though it's not necessarily a Cialdini law, I heard it first from Seth Godin, so I give him credit. Law of permission marketing, okay? What a powerful thing if somebody says, yes, you may actually market to me. Very similar to email marketing. Would you like to opt into our daily, weekly newsletter? That's permission marketing. If I say yes, then give me an easy way out. I don't feel like you're controlling me. So, Charlie, 1, 2, 3, 4 laws in a trigger word. That's a lot going on in about 14 seconds, a lot. But I've never explained it like this before. That's why I wanted to slow it down and say, hey, gang, I'm not making this stuff up. This isn't my opinion. These are things that invoke human behavior to set you up, okay? When we hear these calls, there are a lot of them where there's a rhetorical almost yes. It's like Dean said. Every time I say, Dean, even though he's multitasking, I snap him back into it. Dean, you tracking me? You'll see me do it on this call all the time. Rebecca, you with me? Rebecca, right? And it's not I'm trying to be harsh. I'm trying to control a whole bunch of people to focus us for one lousy hour to get something in your brain that's actionable immediately, right? So there's no difference with any scenario. Now, once I get that permission, Charlie, I can make a case that goal beat, 1A is to confirm the information that they have. May I confirm the mailing address is this? Okay, great. I'll pop that in the mail to you. I'll call you next week. This comes right back into, okay, really what I should do is probably drag this over here and put these laws right back in, okay? Because I'll call you next week to make sure you received it. What I'm re-invoking, whoops, go ahead. Somebody asked me something?
I just want to say that I can't stand that question. May I verify the proper address? I just think it gives them a chance to get off the phone.
I don't, and I'll tell you why.
What I say is, okay, I'm going to send it to blank, blank, blank. Is that the address where you'll receive it?
Yeah, well, that's similar. It's authoritative, so I'll bite for a second there. But let me just make a point here. Is that?
All right.
Yep. I get it. I think that's fine. But let me just say this. We need to re-invoke, my point was, the law of authority. We are not being, I can't believe how many of you pull the punch after you've gotten that far. All of this has been invoked, okay? All of this is there. Whoops. How did I get way down there? Okay, same thing in either place. But you get all the way down here, and then all of a sudden it gets weird on a lot of these calls. And I don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, Autumn, I think you intuitively do this stuff, but I'm trying to name it. So the idea is whatever the language is that we can work on, bubble up, record. I need recordings to hear it. Otherwise, I don't know what's really happening because I don't really care about us as much as I care about the consumer and how they react. I'll call you next week to make sure that you received it. Or should I be sending it to this property address? I still would tell you, if you do not say, I will call you next week, you have not booked the time that you are going to call them again. You have lost the control. And setting up follow-up to me is everything. So I will call you next week. We don't need to ask permission. Would it be okay if I send it, call you next week? No, you already gave me permission. I'm going to confirm that this is the best mailing address. Yeah, good. I'll call you next week to make sure you received it. That books you back into authority. So we open up with authority, we end with authority. Okay. So this is that nice package of we just gained permission to market to them. You have to understand what just happened here is that no matter what happens next, we have firmed up that we will be getting something in their hands that demonstrates our professionalism even further and leads them into funnels where they can vet us even further to see professionalism. So when Autumn makes an expired call, especially to a high-end listing, I want bare minimum, get that package in their hand so that we change the relationship. They see us differently than everybody else. We fulfilled on a promise, and now they start to go to the place that I have spent an enormous amount of time being ready for perception marketing. And they vet you. This happened last night. Autumn set me up for a phone call. I have a 90-minute call. The gal was agreeable, and I'll get into Avatar in a second. The gal was agreeable. The gal was coachable. Everything went well. And she said, I'll talk to my husband. What do you think I saw on my LinkedIn? I saw that he had vetted me on LinkedIn. It's a good sign, right? And they go there. That's business to business. And ironically, I had just really gone through my LinkedIn profile, including changing my banner to have something with all three of my brands up there because it's sort of a catch-all. But that's where he went. And everything is in order. Everything is organized. You know, the website, you know, is updated, et cetera, or all of them for that matter. So you can see. You can see. So I start with authority. I end with authority. I've gained control over a situation. Okay? Questions about that? Charlie, you want to come back to that now, or?
No, you basically just said that if the first call's not properly set up with authority and permission marketing, that the second call falls flat and it's not going to work.
And I'm going to try to get you to teach you to get the second beat in if you can. And this is going to apply to any type of lead. It's not just about expireds. Rebecca, you and I can jump back to buyers here in a second because you did some great work yesterday on that, right? So the idea, so the idea here, Charlie, is I finish beat one. That's the most important thing. But I'm still in the same call, right? Now, some people, are not talkative at all, and they're giving you the bum's rush off the phone, okay? So I understand that. But if you can get to the second call in the first call, Charlie, per se, right?
Yeah.
Now, it's sort of the segue. And Buffini made a whole living off of, oh, by the way, right? It's not, again, why would he put that into his whole system? Because it's a trigger, right? It's a trigger. It gets you to lean back in. Wait, there's more. Ever heard that on TV, right? I mean, these are real sales triggers that get people to lean back in. So we've gone there. I've professionalized it. I've authoritized it. And now I've said, oh, by the way, you know, it really does look like, here we go again. It looks like a beautiful property. That's the likability being reinforced. Why are you trying to sell it? So I go back to the likability so that I can really start to get to the part of the call that we need to start to figure out, is this a real avatar, right? So if I come over to what we did on the avatar call, which I wanted to invoke here today, the number one thing that we have determined about a seller or a buyer for that matter is that they have a real reason to sell or buy. We always talk about timing and motivation, but we never get into the qualitative way to ask that. It's always like, you know, hey, you thinking about doing something in the next 3 to 6 months? Well, like maybe, I don't know. Well, why are you doing this in the first place is a much more important question. And in fact, throughout the entirety of the process, we continuously remind people why they're doing things. That making sense, Charlie?
Yeah, that's great, Danny.
Okay,
Good.
so the idea is now I'm trying to identify when I ask why, I'm trying to identify, is there a real reason to sell or buy inside what? The next 6 months. I'm trying to accordion this down to a very, important time frame where like, is this person right now? Because what I say on that first phone call is going to be predicated on this. I can't believe how many people have telemarketers that come in, and it's like, why is this so hard for them to go to this second beat, ask it, and then just shut up? Because you know what that law is? That's the palm reading 101, Charlie, right?
Uh-huh.
If we will just say, hey, by the way, it looks like a beautiful house. Why are you trying to sell it in the first place, right? Now I'm almost getting into a little bit of the trust area. I've professionalized and authoritized myself. I don't know if that's even right. I'm making it up, authoritized. But I've done that in the first beat. So now can I even get them to trust me a little bit and tell me more about why? So I'm broaching trust. Okay? I'm broaching trust. They don't even know me at the open, so I've got to introduce myself. I've got to make myself likable. And then maybe I can get them to trust me in the very first call to at least be intimate with me and tell me why. Right? And the why may in of itself make the next question, we might not even need it, but it does clarify. So geez, that's a pretty big reason, Charlie. On a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated would you say you really are? Right? So depending on how you ask it, sometimes these things sound awkward to us because we don't understand the context truly. But the purpose for this is, wow, I just heard a pretty big reason. Let me see inside. It sounds like it's an inside 6 months, but maybe by asking on a scale of 1 to 10, they can tell me this, right? Geez, only a 7 with that kind of a reason? How come? Something I can help with? So now I start to get into that qualitative stuff. All right, Charlie, let's pretend it's a follow-up call. Same thing all over again. Charlie, this is Danny Griffin from Griffin Realty Group. I'm calling you because we chatted last week about sending you some information that would help you sell your house the next time, and I wanted to see if you received it. So it's the same laws. And again, I'll tighten up this scripting, Charlie, and put it up on the site. But the idea is it's the same laws. We need to go back and say, repeat it, Charlie. It's not some complete departure the next time you call them. That's why I go back to this spot where I said, I'll call you next week to make sure you received it. So now planted in their brain is this person's going to call again, right? If I don't set that up clearly, there's no expectation that I'm calling. Oh, geez, this thing really did arrive. Maybe this is guy calling again. Right? So, and if it's a good avatar, meaning they were very agreeable to get this in the beginning, they sounded even a little bit coachable. Well, when they get it, Autumn's actually experienced inbound calls on a regular basis because she did the job up front, Charlie, so that she actually turns an outbound pursuit into an inbound. That's a really good sign, right?
Yeah. This is great.
So again, Charlie, I said this to you before. If you're not having success getting into properties, then what's happening is you're probably not deliberately, intentionally, and precisely thinking about it this way. Now, when you do this correctly, this doesn't take much longer than 14 seconds. I think last week when we did some recorded calls, I must have given out 5 golden stars to about 4 or 5 different people, right? Simply because they were concise. Now I want to talk about why precision matters. Concise, it's short, but there's no why. Like I know what you're having trouble doing. You're all having trouble buying into why. So I'm teaching you today why. Why does this stuff actually work? It's all human behavior stuff. Good? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the last thing I'll do in the lecture will end and we'll go listen to some calls. The idea is over time, like we made those things happen, we started to look 2 weeks ago at the characteristics of the ideal client, also known as an avatar. If you've never done avatar work, I recommend highly that you pay close attention to it. So in the script, you see the pursuit, and the goal was one simple thing. Can I invoke these laws so that I can find out the very first and most major criteria of a good avatar, that they have a real reason why they need to do something inside of 6 months. So everything we just talked about sets up the question, oh, by the way, it does look like a beautiful home. Why? Same application, Rebecca, to the buy side. Geez, that sounds great. I'll touch base with you from time to time, seeing that you're getting the information. By the way, while I have you, why are you thinking about buying a house? Boom. It's the same thing after these beats are completed, right? Rebecca, that makes sense to you too? You want to comment on this? While I plug my computer in?
Yeah, it makes sense. I like the fact that whether you're doing sell or buy, there is a yellow brick system that we can follow, and it makes it organic, you know?
Yeah, and you will not always follow the yellow brick system exactly. Ask Dorothy how that one worked out, right? I mean, ultimately what happens is your human emotion or the day gets in the way. So like any good training, we have to remember why hang on. Plug the computer in. Just realized we were low. All right. So the idea of training and repetition is that we are trying to get ourselves into a routine that eventually becomes intuitive. So that, in other words, what happens is I come in, I go to my workspace, whether it's my virtual one, my in-office one, I sit, I sit upright, I open up what I need in front of me. I do a quick review of these laws. I think I understand the context of the leads I'm about to go for. I have the packages with the core USP plans in front of me. I get it, right? So no matter how bad my night was, how little I slept, I'm at this spot and I need to get this right. That's a very important part of this. Because as we see that, here you are doing this difficult job, the phone's ringing, nobody's answering, it's ringing, that could go on for hours and suddenly somebody gets it and you're like, you're dead, right? Now you're trying to recover for the rest of the call when if you had been ready for that thing, perhaps you would have a greater chance, right? So I understand fully that it's easy to go through this. I understand fully that it's difficult to execute it. But the point is, the more repetition we do, the more intuitive it becomes, and you're still getting it all in. So I think, you can see, and I thought Autumn's suggestion of slowing down, especially early on, was everything, because we all speed up too much, right? Cool?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
All right. Who sent me calls here today?
I did.
Okay, Paul. Sarah, Corey, did you send me something too?
Yeah, I sent you 2 calls.
Okay.
I did too.
You some, Danny.
Danny?
Yep. Okay, good. I like it. People are sending me calls. Yeah, Klebs, was that you, bud?
Yeah, that's me, man. You're not. This isn't the last time you're going to cover this info, right? Because as
Oh,
I
no.
bring on my telemarketer, I want like this call. I'm just thinking the whole time this will be perfect for him or her to
Yeah.
hear this info.
Oh, no, this is absolutely core fundamental stuff that, through these last several masterminds, and I know you've been dealing with some stuff at the office. No, this is fundamental now. And it's always been there, Chris. I think what we're doing is we're just finally rooting it out, right? So, yes, the mind map is available for you on Teachable. Okay. Let me get out of there for a second. Let me get back to my emails, and we will go from there. Okay. Cantu, you spoke first. I heard you. So I'm going to go take a look at your stuff. And you sent it to, do you know which email you sent to me?
I usually send it to both, but
Okay.
I might have just sent it to Danny Griffin at
Yeah, okay.
DannyGriffin.com.
Okay. Sarah, I see
So-
Sarah, I see yours. So that's one. Paul, let me just check. Paul, I don't see him. Paul, I don't see him, so I need him again.
Okay, I'll send him right now in a second.
Okay. All right, Paul, Sarah, and then I did hear Gail. You sent some too, right?
Yeah, we did.
Okay. So Rebecca, Paul, Sarah. That's who I heard. Anybody else send me something? Okay, I'm going to deal with those first.
I just resent them
Okay.
to both your email
I
addresses.
got it. Okay, here we go. Got it. So I'm going to go Paul, Rebecca, Sarah, okay? Because that's the way I have on my computer, so it's just easier. So let's see if we can't knock this out. Paul, any context you want me to deal with?
Well, yes, she's definitely taking the second beats.
Hello?
And
Yeah.
she is coming to Seattle on July 3rd, and we did about a 2-hour Zoom yesterday because I told her that I'm so far behind that now she's going to do all the follow-ups because I just can't get to them. So I just want to see what you think of her progress. I haven't listened to these two. I've just been too swamped.
Yep. Okay, good. Here we go.
Hello?
Hello. Hi, is
Hi.
this Juan?
Yes, this is her.
Hi there, this is Sam. I'm calling from Cantu Group Real Estate. We were just giving you a call because we saw your beautiful home online and we noticed it didn't sell. So we wanted to send you something that will help you sell it the next time. May I do that?
Okay. What do you? So what do you
See,
gonna send me?
we're mailing a list of properties with pictures and details that sold in your price range while you were on the market. And we're also including a copy of our 7-step listing plan.
Okay.
All right, perfect. We'll be sending it in the mail. So I wanted to confirm the best mailing address. Is it 3551? Okay, perfect. I'll send that over. And it looks like a nice property. Why are you trying to sell it?
All right, that one right there, it's like she's so good now at that first piece. That was, I mean, there's no critique. It's like I said, in the heat of the moment, you'd be dancing on the head of a pin to try to critique her there. It's that, you know, it's that smooth. She slows down. I can understand everything she says. She gets somebody who does the number one objection. Well, you see, but she's done it so well that this lady's in a rhetorical yes mode. You can feel it as you listen to this. It's a rhetorical yes. It's worked. And then because she hasn't trained as much on the second part, she's struggling to make it sound as conversational as the first part. Did you hear that?
It's definitely a tonality shift. I love it. I'd put her on the payroll in a minute, but
Yeah.
the next opportunity to grow, I think, clearly is tonality.
For sure.
Because
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
The last change of beats was almost the exact same tone, which almost made it confusing.
Right. Isn't that interesting how subtle it is? But now, since we're also highly trained, we hear it that loudly, right? That's been my endeavor here. You can feel like, oh my gosh, this is like a textbook version of what we hope any telemarketer is saying on the first call. And it wins. And it gets the yes. Let's see what kind of negative effect that change has here. Hang on.
The other quick thing back in the
Well,
beginning.
I'm trying to tell. I was trying to downsize. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Well, if you'd like, I'd be happy to have my agent, Paul Cantu, stop by and give you like a free consultation to help you sell it. Would you like me to do that?
Well, not in the moment. Yeah. Probably.
Okay.
Slow
Yeah.
down.
Just
Slow
take a
down.
break from. Yeah.
Good.
Right. Okay. Do you have like a time frame as in when you would like to sell it? Or what would you
think
consider
about
like
it. Yeah. I'll just
interviewing another agent?
All right, way too much. Now, see, it starts to unravel, Paul. You can feel it. What is she doing this for? Right? Like
Right. Once she got the clear no that she wasn't going to be able to book the appointment, she should have wrapped it up with, okay, I'm going to get this in the mail to you.
Exactly.
Call you back in 5 days.
Exactly.
Make sure you received it. And then, now that we put that on her plate, then at that point, she tries to book the appointment for me. Talking about interviewing other agents, I never told her any of this. So now I got to talk to her today when I.
Exactly. Well, again, I think the script internalized has been my dream come true on that first piece, right? Because I hate scripts if they don't have a very clear, concise, precise, intentional methodology attached to them, which she made sound conversational. If we were all listening, nobody would ever know it was that scripted. Nobody. That's perfect. It's not memorized. Like Dean said, we could all flow with it. We all flowed right down the river with it. Okay. But clearly I want to make the emphasis to everybody else, and Charlie, especially since you met us. You see, this is the second call in the first call, and it's going completely differently, just simply based on her tone. In fact, she loses the authority. Okay. She loses the authority that she had in the first beat because she starts to sound apologetic. And I'll play the whole thing and let it run without dissecting it. And I want you to listen, but let's just listen to how it wraps up first.
Paul, real quick, is this an in-house?
I actually wasn't thinking about interview another agent, but I did get a lot of calls, so sort of
I
already
understand.
started. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So we'll send that over, and I'll give you a call in a week just to make sure that you received it. Okay.
Okay. Sounds great. All right. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, Ms. Wan. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. And she gets a little rushy at the end when she realizes she can't do it. That's sort of the old version of her. She is in Mexico City, Chris.
Okay.
Okay. Hold on. Here comes the whole thing. Everybody just listen to the whole thing. Watch where it changes in that second beat. Here we go. Or not. Sorry, get you all excited. Let me just I got to redo this. Hang on. Let me just refresh it because it hung up a little bit.
You're still sharing your screen too, Danny, by the way.
Which screen are you watching on? Zoom?
Mind map.
That's where it stuck. I stopped sharing. So that's just where it stopped. Thank you, though. Hang on. Got a lot of things happening on the computer here. Let's just reload this. Paul, any thoughts there?
Well, I really like Dean's and your critique because I do feel that there was a change in tonality once she began the second beat. I think she, honestly, my critique at the end is I think she wrapped it up nicely, but the middle was a little wonky, to be honest, in my opinion. So I think you guys had good feedback.
Good. All right, here we go. Trying to open it one more time here. Sorry, lots of files here. Okay, here we go. It's coming up.
Hello?
Hello. Hi, is
Hi.
this Juan?
Yes, this is her.
Hi there, this is Sam. I'm calling from Cantu Group Real Estate. We were just giving you a call because we saw your beautiful home online and we noticed it didn't sell. So we wanted to send you something that will help you sell it the next time. May I do that?
Okay. What do you send me?
We're mailing a list of properties with pictures and details that sold in your price range while you were on the market. And we're also including a copy of our 7-step listing plan.
Okay.
All right, perfect. We'll be sending it in the mail. So I wanted to confirm the best mailing address. Is it 3551 168th Avenue, Northeast Bellevue?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'll send that over. And it looks like a nice property. Why are you trying to sell it?
Why I'm trying to sell it? I was trying to downsize. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. All right. Well, if you'd like, I'd be happy to have my agent, Paul Cantu, stop by and give you like a free consultation to help you sell it. Would you like me to do that?
Well, not in the moment. Yeah. Probably.
Okay.
Yeah. Just take a break from. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Do you have like a time frame as in when you would like to sell it? Or what would you consider like interviewing another agent?
I actually wasn't thinking about interview another agent, but I did get a lot of calls, so sort of
I
already
understand.
started. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So we'll send that over, and I'll give you a call in a week just to make sure that you received it. Okay.
Okay. Sounds great. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Juan. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. So the irony here is that everything that she does right in the beginning, you hear the gift-giving principle, you hear all these good things happening, you can hear it, and it's working. And then she snaps back to the underlying take. So the give is fabulous, but it really starts to kind of go downhill with a real taker's mentality because it becomes obvious to the lady and you run the risk of having been successful. Remember, I don't think, Paul, that she fully understands that package arriving is what's differentiating, number one, the call, but number two, I'll guarantee she's the only one that sends something of value that really are those pictures and details. Is that 7-step plan? It is exactly that thing of value to this lady. And if she gets it and she sounds, open to it, then we have a shot at it, right? So let the package do its job at this rate. She took a shot. What I could do, if you'd like, is I could have Paul stop by with it and hand deliver it. I'm sure he could add some insights. That's it. That's all she can do for the upsell. And I think this is a good call to work on. What is the upsell in our business when you use this approach. We begin to introduce insight. What I'm sending you is information that includes several of the properties that were a little bit above and a little bit below, but I like the way she said it better. We're sending you pictures and details of properties that were around you that sold while you're on the market, and we're going to stick in a copy of our 7-step, period. Concise. It was excellent. Really good, because it's what the letter says too that goes out. Here's some pictures and here's what's included. It says it right at the top of the letter, okay? So out that goes. It's concise, and they get it. Now allow that to be the benevolent Trojan horse that it is. It arrives, it's thick, it opens, it's substantial, it's pretty, and it is information. So what we firmed the delivery of information up, confirmed the address, gotten the permission, bravo. The next thing is simple, and this is what Charlie was asking about. She did it so perfectly, but now we start to press. We're pressing, because it's what we want. And all of a sudden we reveal ourselves for the stumbling, bumbling puppy jumping up and down on her leg all over again, right? Well, would you like to interview other agents? I said, it's no longer this beautiful logic. This lady is trying to find the logic in this call, and she's finding it. Albeit she struggled, she keeps with it. And that's what a system does. It keeps her engaged in a logical way. So the logical opportunity is, downsizing. We talked about that too. It's in the mind map as well, right? So when we go to the mind, I'm not going to go to the mind map again, but when you go there, all you mastermind members, you're going to see that in that mind map, we looked at the reasons why downsizing, upsizing was one of the most important triggers. We say, a real reason to move, right? It's on our list. So boom, I got him. Hey, by the way, what I could do if you'd like is I could have Paul deliver this information, and he could add some insight to your situation. I mean, again, that the essence is offering Paul's insight. And Autumn and I talked about this, and with Laura this morning, Autumn does a very good job at selling my ability to offer insight to them, right? That's what she sells. That's the upsell. And so if she can get me on a phone call, which she has done, and I had a really good one last night, you get, that's that upsell. And I'm happy to take a phone appointment to add some insight, because now the information goes, they've heard some insight, we have some follow-up, we're already beginning to put the sides up on the competition, or at least create a competitionless lane. So you have to believe in the materials that they will carry the day. And so the upsell would be, what I could do is I could get Danny on the phone with you, and he could give you some insights into your thing, but she heard it. No, not yet. Okay, no problem. Let me get you this information. I'll call you next week to make sure you get it. Thank you so much for your time today. It's pleasant. Leave with and Sam is a very likable voice. So it's easy for her to leave there. All right, Paul, anything else before I go to the next one?
I just want to say that, I really appreciate that last line that you said, insight, because we're not using that. We're just saying, or she's just saying, or I'm just saying, I could meet, if you're really thinking of selling soon, I could meet with you at your home and give you a free consultation. But I just like that phrase, provide you with some insight, because it just sounds like more deep.
It is.
I'm not really explaining what I mean.
But it is. The very value in what we do is we would actually go in with the same.
Well, that's what we do, yeah.
Right. With the same information, with our interpretive insight on top of it, to customize it for them. Those words are powerful, right? Those are powerful words. The consultation would include my insights to customize, your situation to help you get it sold. No obligation, but you have to use the right words. Words are power.
And speaking of words, the one that I did hear her say was she used the phrase listing plan. And
I don't like that.
No, I agree, because if you look at the infographic, it clearly says home seller plan.
Yeah.
And listing is kind of one of those trigger words, I think, that most people on the other side of the phone hear, and they're just here to get my listing. But
Well,
go ahead, Nick.
Well, it begins to water it down, Dean. Like you're watering it down, because here's what you're doing. And here's what happens in the second beat of this call. She puts herself right back in the lane with everybody else by using everybody else's language and everybody else's approach, because it sounds similar now. So now this lady who's had all these calls, now we go from sounding wildly unique to just like everybody else. And now it's like, oh, wait a minute. You just said all that so you could do the same? I got to go take a shower. Ick, right? That's what happens. I'm being dramatic, so I emphasize the point. But the idea is that you're rolling into this really valuable next step, and maybe you're not ready for it, and maybe you're not ready for him to come in home. But I could have him either talk to you on the phone or visit you. You can make it's an option. Hey, it sounds like you have a really big reason to sell, and that you're really motivated to sell it pretty soon. What I could do, if you'd like, is I could also book an appointment. I'll get the information out, but I could also book an appointment with Paul Cantu. He's the specialist here, and I'd be happy to have him call up and offer some of his insights into your own situation. Would you like me to do that? So that's a powerful but calm and professional upsell to what's next, because that's what you're after anyway. So we don't have to be apologetic about that, but if we first listen. So let me give you this with authority, likability, and gift giving and permission. Let me give you that, okay? That'll allow me to ask on an avatar scale. Do you have a real reason why? Wow, that's a pretty big reason. Could you clarify on a scale of 1 to 10 how serious you are right now? Having heard that from you, what I could also suggest, in addition to what I'm sending you, I could suggest that I book an appointment with Paul where he could add his insights. Now, you could do that on the phone, or you could do that in home if you're ready for that. I just think that's the next beat here. Charlie, especially to you, that's what I'm saying, is it just becomes so logical, but I have to hear you first. I have to know that you have a real why. I have to know that it feels like, oh, wait, by the way, for somebody like you in your situation, we could also do this. That's what an upsell is. Thank you for ordering this. You might also like to add this. Everybody is used to that and understands it. But contextually, if you're pressing for it and you didn't hear why that upsell would matter, it's going to fall on deaf ears and it might water down the original offer. Right? Make sense? Okay.
Absolutely.
Here we go. Next one.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Hi, is this Mr. Altayar?
Yeah, speaking.
Hi there, this is Sam from Cantu Group Real Estate. How are you today?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Right back to the old way.
That's great to hear. So actually, we're just giving you a call because we saw your beautiful home online, and we noticed it didn't sell. So we wanted to send you something that will help you sell it the next time. May I do that?
Certainly.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. May I confirm the best address? Is it 4441? Okay, perfect. And it looks like a great property. Why were you trying to sell it?
Well, yes, I want to sell it. Simple as that.
Oh, okay. And do you have like a time frame as in when you wanted to sell it?
Say that again.
Yes, do you have a time frame as in when you want to sell it?
Well, I'm ready for selling it, yeah.
Okay, so you're like a 10 from...
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, good.
Okay,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, I'd be happy to have my agent, Paul Cantu, stop by and give you a free consultation to help you sell it. May I do that?
Okay, just send me your information on my address, okay?
Yeah, good.
Okay, absolutely. And I'll give you a call in a week just to make sure that you
All
received
right, good
it. Sounds
recovery.
good?
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Good recovery. But you could hear, it's easy to critique that one, Paul. You get it. Mistakes up front. She's not athletically ready. There's too big of a delay. She goes right, and anytime she's not athletically ready, she defaults to, how are you today? Because she's buying herself time. That's what I mean. You start off 1 degree off and you're not ready for someone to pick up that phone, then all of a sudden you're adding these lines. It's still effective. And there's a little bit of a hearing or language barrier, but she does a much better job simplifying this one once she hears like, no, I'm not, I'm not ready for that. She definitely will need to be trained on how to make the upsell about insight. So that's your next job. Okay.
I think when she comes to Seattle, we're going to knock that out.
Yep. Good. When is she coming?
She's going to be here staying with us from July 3rd through July 12th.
Okay. I wouldn't wait that long. she picks up the phone between now and then, I would want her to know like today, right?
Oh
Because
no,
yeah,
we talk every day for
good,
sure.
awesome.
Absolutely. I just
All
mean,
right,
being
yep,
in
I
the
got
office,
you.
being in the office is gonna be different than being, in two different countries. So I'm saying.
Yep, got you. All right, here we go. Rebecca, thoughts about what you sent me here?
Yes. They are, one's an expired, and I'm just looking for some polish, and the other one's a follow-up call. I've already spoken to the woman 2 times prior, and I'm trying to see if she would like some of our email notifications for the market updates.
Okay. All right, here we go. I gotta hustle along here because I am actually running out of time quickly. Come on. Sorry, lots going on in the computer here. It's a little bit slow in opening these big files. Sarah Corey, Rebecca, I'm going to take one of yours and one of yours, Sarah Corey, okay?
Yeah.
Hi. Yes, I'm looking for Eric's law. Hi, this is Rebecca with Realty. The reason I'm calling is because we saw your beautiful home online and we noticed that it doesn't sell. I'd like to mail you some information.
Well, yeah, we chose not to sell it at that point, Jeff.
Oh, okay. Do you have a real estate agent already?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, okay. You're all taken care of then. Okay,
Well, yeah,
I will
we
let
got
you
people that
know.
want to buy it. We're just doing a remodel, so next week we should be back on the market, or 2 weeks we should be back on the market.
Okay, nothing here again.
Fantastic. All right. Well, best of luck to you.
All right, there's nothing here again. But what I would say is what I would have done differently is just up front. But this is again, and I think you've done the job. I don't think all you telemarketers have to fret this. I mean, he got somebody, they took it off, they're doing renovation. You can tell that the way he answers the phone, he's not the avatar. He's rushing you. He's not agreeable because he has a real reason not to be. He has somebody. And you find that out. But what I would say is I'd stay disciplined. A couple things that I heard right away. Just say his name, Eric. You know what I mean? Like don't like it. Just keep it simpler for you, right? Just be ready, like Eric, right? I mean, just as simple as we can make that introduction. Let's try to do it. Eric, this is Rebecca from Rossetti Realty. I'm calling you because saw your beautiful house online, noticed it didn't sell, and so that the less is so much more important, especially with a high D like that, who's going to cut to the chase to you, right? With you. So
Yeah.
That's the only critique I can give you here is just stick to your yellow brick formula, like you said, like really disciplined until it just is so trained in your brain that you're doing it. Because like I said with Sam's call, I wouldn't want you to be 1 degree off and have to recover. I think you do fine as it goes on, but you're fighting a little bit and it just can be so much smoother. Boom, 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 boom. Yes. Boom, 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 boom. No, boom, boom, right? It starts to feel like a dance all day and you get in that rhythm and you're more effective. Does that help?
Yeah, no, that's what I needed with this call because I was like, well, he was a no, but I feel like I could have done the call a little bit better. So thank you for that.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Well, again, I think it's what you've already recognized is like, your adherence to a system, right? That's all it is. All right.
Yeah.
Let me keep going here. I'm going to go to Sarah Corey's because you and I spent a lot of time yesterday. So let's be fair to her. But again, I just think in general for you, Rebecca, it's training now. It's not understanding. It's just training. It's because we go from a moment like this in training to try to get it rooted in, and that takes time, to the real live moment where the heart's beating. You have all these emotions, your body chemistry is changing. It's very hard to stay logical and disciplined, which is why I think the best advice that I heard Autumn give on one of these calls was slow down. And the piece that I would couple with it that I gave you was be athletically ready for every one of them. Even if you've been calling and nobody's answering and we're starting to get low blood sugar and, right, whatever it is, we have to figure that out. All right, Sarah, good job, though. I'm going to start with Dave.
Thanks.
Here comes Dave.
Hi, may I please speak to Zizo?
Yeah?
Hi, this is Dave. I'm calling from Metro City Property Group of REMAX, and the reason I'm calling is in regards to a few previous conversations that we had about your property at 222 Wood Park Way. And I just wanted to touch base with you in regards to the sale of that property. I know you guys were going to be moving into a new build eventually. And I just wanted to see how that situation has evolved and maybe I can help you out.
Yeah, we should sit and talk. I mean, if you could just
probably Saturday, that would fit you. We could just, have a talk. I mean,
Sure, absolutely.
but you want to pass by or just over the phone, or what do you prefer?
No, we could actually come by the home. That way we could take a look at it and give you a proper evaluation, tell you exactly how much it would sell for. And then we could go over our entire listing strategy with you and show you how we do business to get you the most amount of money possible.
Okay.
When do you think you'd want to put the property on the market?
The thing now is, I just had I took a look last Saturday at my new home. So the dispatcher already building it. He said probably by October or November. They're not sure. My house will be ready to move in.
You'll be ready to move in October.
Well, I mean, we could, let's say November. I don't want to take risk and just put closing dates on the contract just to make sure to be on the safe side.
Okay, well, we'll make sure that whenever the good time is to put your property up, that any offers that you get have a closing date where you'll have enough time to move into your new place.
Yeah.
So
That's
sure
good.
that we organize around that. Okay, and I'm just taking a look. There is an old MLS listing for your place, 222 Wood Park. I'm just going to go over some of the details. You can tell me if any of them have changed. It's a two-story row unit, built in 96, fully finished basement, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1 car garage.
All right, I'm going to stop it there, Sarah, because I've made a whole bunch of notes here. Number one, when he calls, he sounds disconnected from the relationship, right? So I don't know, Dave, like how many conversations you've had. I don't know if there's ever been an upsell to get this guy continued information like properties that sold around him, but that should be considered because it doesn't sound like it's there. So it's almost like you're trying to start all over again with somebody who's there. And you didn't on the first go round or second or third or whatever, you didn't get this information that he seems like, yeah, I get it. I'm trying to sell it. We should meet, right? So it's almost like we sound weirdly disconnected from that. How did we miss it in the first one would be my question, right? So I wrote down, sounds disconnected. What was the original upsell? Next thing I wrote was, what's he been getting between now and then? Because this shouldn't be a cold call. He should have been getting insightful information, which is sold properties around him from the last time. And then I think it just gets really weirdly scripted. And it's almost like he's begging for the appointment to be booked, and yet we're making him go through some hoops, right? And we're not explaining it. I've got an old MLS sheet, and it looks like this. Well, wait a minute. Okay, what day would be best for you? It sounds great. You're talking about Friday? Okay, what time Friday would you like to do it? All right, super. Good. All right, hey, listen, I just have a few quick questions for you so we can make the best of the appointment. We can give you the best insight possible. Let me just confirm that all the MLS details that I saw is pretty much the same. Have you done any upgrades or changes to that since then? And then you get into those other qualifying questions quickly, right? But this guy's already offered a lot of information. He's got another house coming, and it's due in October. So you could probably zip through those, So the reason you're selling is because you built a new house. I got that. Clearly, it sounds like you don't want to get stuck with 2 homes. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to assume you're a 10 to sell it, but on or before October. Yeah, you could zip through this in a conversational way, but to start to get into these little weird quips that we've all had hanging around like a hangover from days gone by, it's like, so we can sit down with you and get you the top dollar, duh, right? I mean, this guy's way beyond that stuff. I think that's probably valid early on in a relationship. But we're back to some kind of weird disconnect. And I get it, because over the years we had been taught, do this, do it again, do it. No, the evolution of this is something's been changing here with this guy over time. And we sound disconnected. And he's like, well, yeah, I remember talking to you. Well, why are you going through all this stuff? Like, yeah, hey, it's Dave from Remax. We had talked back a couple months ago about your house. I just want to check in on you, see if you've been getting the stuff that we've been sending you. Boom. Like, what? Where's all this other stuff coming from? It's not necessary, because you can clearly see it's taking too long, and he's ready to book. So book him. Just book him.
Can I say something here?
Go ahead.
When you're doing it, it sounds very authoritative. And when we're doing it, it sounds like we're scared to death. And the difference is you've got to talk to these people like it's your brother or your best friend. You know, you've got to believe what you're saying, and you've got to be, I don't mean overly familiar, but you've got to talk to them like they're a real human being and a friendly one.
I would agree.
No matter what.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. I think even in Sam's call, she sounds like that in the beginning, Autumn, but when she gets to that second half, all of a sudden it sounds like this weird robotic thing, and there's a disconnect. This is humanity. I think what Autumn is talking about is humanity. I mean, treat others as you would want to be treated yourself, the golden rule, right? I mean, it's that we lose the humanity in this scripted performance. And Dave, my gosh, you're like Sam. You have human written all over you. You have engagement written all over you. But when you put when you're stuffing your mouth with these weird words, you lose that. All right, let me go to the next one. Sarah, you there? Corey?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Any comments on that one before I go on?
No, I think that was valid. I don't know if Dave wanted to say anything about that, but I think that
I didn't hear Dave chime in. I didn't know whether he was on. Dave, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, you want to comment on it yourself?
Well, we had a few previous conversations, and I did send him some information before in a previous conversation.
Yep.
So, and then I had a follow-up after that, and then this was like fourth or fifth call. So I didn't send him additional information. So that's why I didn't say, oh, did you receive the information? Because I had a conversation like that with him before.
Well, let me make that case. Two things I want to say to that. You already have relationship with this guy, and it didn't sound like it. Okay, that was my point. The second point is for you and Sarah and everybody else to hear. We send this one-off batch of stuff. If we can get continuity of information going as well. So for example, a package that gets sent out that gives them a plan, gives them some information. Okay, want to then, hey, by the way, in the next one, between now and when you're a little closer to ready, what I could do is put you into the, Ottawa MLS, where you can get, updates of properties as they sell around you, so you can keep up to date on the marketplace. So that when you're calling him next time, hey, just want to see if this information's been coming to you, so that you've been seeing some of these solds happening around you and checking on your timing. That's much more human, right? So what might be missing, Dave, is the continuity information. I know you did a good job in the first calls. You know why? He's very familiar with you. You can hear it in his voice. I know you did a good job. I don't even have to ask what you did. You can hear it. He's validating that. And that's why I love these calls. We hear them validate you. It just sounds like you're a little bit disconnected from that relationship that you created with him. I mean, if you go back and listen to it yourself, you'll hear it. Like you say, yeah.
So I'm looking for a strategy here, because one of the things that very scriptedly and robotically, I say to him, we're going to come over and go over our listing strategy and show you how we can get top dollar. The reason that I reiterate that and I say that and I feel that it's important that I do, and I'd like to kind of change the way I'm strategizing about this, is we've had situations in the past, maybe when I was a little bit more green or with other people, where we have sent agents on appointments and the agent gets there and the person is just basically like, yeah, just give me the evaluation for the property. I don't care about any of that kind of stuff. Like, don't give me a presentation or any of that. So I always want to reiterate to the client that we're coming over to give you a presentation, so that if they have any problem with that on the phone, they can say, no, I don't want that.
Yeah, but hold on. I don't like that.
They can say that still, no matter what you've said on the phone. They can still rush the agent.
Shouldn't this be the nickel tour, though?
Yeah, hold on.
I mean, that's kind of like what we say.
Hold on, I got you all. No, it's not even like that's how Autumn will get me in there. But here's the deal. All the language matters, Dave. So I said it earlier and it triggered Paul. We'll send an agent over to give you some insight about your particular case as it relates to a good, solid plan to get it sold. Right? I mean,
less is more. Less words.
Yeah, hold on. I want to give him the concept first. The idea is, Dave, this is a plan. We are professionals. Okay? Not I'm giving you a presentation. Sounds like I'm going to talk at you. I don't want that. Don't come over and talk at me. Right? When we come over, what we're going to do is we'll take the nickel tour of the property, and then we'll be able to give you some ideas of what you can do to win. That's the narrative. That's the underlying narrative. That's what I do. All right. I'm coming over. Yes, I'm going to take the nickel tour and I'm going to customize some of my insights. I'm going to give you my insights that if it was my house, here's what I'd do. That's where Autumn was going with that familiar way. I will get there and I will try to engage in a familiar way, but I am absolutely taking them through a process to give them my insight. Okay. You want my insight. You want an evaluation? It's not just here's the number. You have to take me for a tour through. Let me show how you arrive at a number. You don't just come up. This isn't pricing it right. Bingo. I hope that's not what you're playing with agents. You're not going pricing it. Well, bingo, got the right price. There's a process to selling a house to make a market for it. This is all language that is really the way that this works, right? So you have to really connect to that plan, that idea. It's the story brand formula. It's not new. Enters the hero, this seller, okay? Enters the problem. They don't know anything about how this really works. We do. So their perception is, I just need to know what it's worth. Okay, that's fine. We will come to that. But you don't just come in and say that. If anybody's doing that to you, that's only setting you up for failure or struggle or difficulty. If you want to know how we get people that top dollar, you'll let us do the quick nickel tour. We'll very quickly, it's an infographic. It takes 2 minutes, not a presentation talking at you. Let me run through the whole process that we take our clients through. Then let me give you all the math. Let me show you how we arrive at the right asking price, how we make sure during the process that that's the right one, how we set you up to get the top dollar. It's a plan, and it can take as little time as you want. But 1, I got to see it. 2, you got to sit down and see the plan. 3, we got to do the math. Done, right? So I can do it that fast and have that kind of authority. You got me?
Yes. What I will say, though, is, in my opinion, our agents don't go in there and go quickly through a presentation. It's a very long and involved process, in my opinion, the presentation.
You know how I feel about it. It's too long. It's too long. It's about you guys still. I know what you're saying to me. You don't have to be covert about it. Come straight through the front door. You don't have it refined like this. I understand you. But that doesn't prevent you from simply explaining it. Okay?
I know. I'm just trying to prevent situations where it's a situation where someone comes back to me and says, "Oh, they didn't want to hear any of my presentation."
Yeah, well, that's
and I kind of see that.
You, Dave. It's not on you.
I know, but I'm trying to plug any holes, because I see it as a failure on my part.
Right? I appreciate that. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay. If Sarah, this is not on him. He needs to stick to his part of the job. If there's problems in the house, that's not his problem. I got you back on that one, brother. I'll talk to Tarek and Steve and Sarah about that separately. You can't cherry pick what you want. We got to stop talking at people and start engaging them. All right, I got to move on because I've got a buyer client at 3. So here we go. One more.
Hello?
Hi, it's Carlos.
Speaking.
Hi, Carlos. This is Sarah calling from the home search side. I noticed that you were looking at properties in Ottawa. You had created a free account.
Yeah, I was just really browsing, so I'm not super serious. So.
No problem. I mean, we can always still get it set up properly before you're looking at the right type of properties. I noticed that you're not really looking to make a move until next year. Is that right?
Yeah, not for a bit.
Okay. And what's your current situation now? Are you renting?
No, I own.
You do own. Okay.
So I'm renovating a little bit of my current property. So.
Got it. Are you getting it ready for sale or just?
No. I'm just literally just fixing, washrooms, stuff like that, upgrading, and so.
Yeah. How long have you been in your current home?
Since 2018.
2018. Okay, so still fairly new then. Okay.
Yeah.
So
when you had signed up, was there something that you wanted to? Was there like something specific that you were looking for, or just kind of seeing?
Yeah, like, well, I maybe like, you know, I want to move to closer to downtown area, like not non-septic kind of property. You know, just what I'm in.
Okay.
I'm in septic property now.
What part of Ottawa do you live now?
Navin.
Oh, you're in Navin. Okay, okay. So if you were to move closer into town, what neighborhoods would work for you?
I'm not like, I'm just like I told you, like I was just like browsing really.
Yeah.
So just looking around, see what the options are and the budget and all that. So.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What I can do to make sure that you are getting sent the right property alerts, what I can do is I can adjust their criteria a little bit. That way it's not so much in the suburbs. That way you can start to see kind of what that real estate looks like. What I can also do is show you sold listings. You can see what that looks like as well. I noticed the price point was quite vague. Was there a budget that you're going to be, or a ballpark of what you'd like to be in for next year?
Yeah, like maybe like looking maybe, you know, the 900-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. And would you also consider pre-construction, any new builds, anything like that?
Possibly.
Okay.
Possibly, depends on the. I just don't get why, like they. I find like the new build, like, you know, especially downtown, what they're doing, they're taking these old homes and they tear them down and they construct them, but like there's nothing special. I don't know why they go like over $1 million, like, you know, like $2 million homes, and they're nothing special. They look like a condo, more or less.
Where are you
But I
seeing
just
that?
don't.
You're seeing that a lot in your area?
In Ottawa, like in downtown areas. You know, they take these little, like, well, not core downtown, but like around downtown.
All right, Sarah, you said go to 850, but I ran out of time here. I'm happy to pick it up again next time anyway. But here's what I like about it. Let me talk about what I like about it. I like that you get him talking. I would just say that if you had gone back earlier in the call and really stuck to, oh yeah, no problem. We have a lot of people browse early on in the process. No problem. I just want to get the criteria right. You could have gotten to this point faster. So that's the only thing I can think of. I mean, I love that you get there. I just think the methodology to get there is what Autumn just said out loud. You know, she listened to, you know, Dave, stick to your scripted way of getting there.
The script.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much for creating your free account to look for homes in Ottawa. I'm here to just make sure that the criteria is correct. And I see that you're looking in XYZ and the price was a little bit cloudy. So I wanted to refine that. Oh yeah. I'm just browsing. Yeah, no problem. Browsing's fine with us. Just want to get, so hang on one second. So you finish.
Does he need to sell his house
guys,
in order to buy the other one?
I don't know. Hang on. So the bottom line is we're pressing too hard on this call. We're pressing too hard because he's not, hold on. He's not a real why inside the next 6 months. So let's finish the service B so that at least we can get him in, you know, more officially. You already said there were problems with the setup, meaning his price criteria was a little bit off. You weren't really clear where he was looking, blah, blah, blah. Finish that. Just finish that. Because it could have been so much less time to finish that. All you're doing is looking at a website. You got these areas, you got these prices. You asked about pre-construction, this thing, that thing. It's probably even a little bit more detailed than he really needs. You just want to make sure he's using your system. So he's getting these automatic emails from Metro City, period. I mean, and then you can go into housing, but why were you even thinking about making a move out of, you know, on Navin, whatever it's called? And see if he'll answer it. But until you finish that, you know, so it's the same thing. Finish the dang service B before you move on to the Y, and then you can get there with him. Because, Sarah, you're so good at convincing people, but why spend that much time convincing somebody who's not quite ready? Just get him set up so he's in your queue so that as he gets closer and as he sees things, he might accelerate his timeline. But we're just rushing to get there. Go ahead, Autumn. What were we trying to say?
I want to just say, Sarah, just be careful of cutting in too quickly. Let the man finish his thought. If you stick to the script, you can actually do that. You can let him finish his thought before you ask the next question, which is something I'm always thinking about, being conversational, not sounding like, you know, an order taker at a hamburger stand, you know, okay, and do you want onions? Okay, you know, and it's like, let the guy finish the thought that, you know, yes, you do sound very professional, but make sure that it's conversational too. Conversational professionalism.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Sarah knows that she speaks very quickly. And it's not even that you speak quickly, Sarah. It's more about those beats. You gotta let them finish. And that's why scripting, when it's precise and concise together, it's precisely why we do the service beat first, is so we can say, hey, by the way, and recognize, I know you're just browsing. I heard you, but while I have you, just curious, why would you think about making a move? Right? And let him answer. Let him read his mind out. I know you're just browsing. I'm not pressuring you, but while I have you, I'm curious, why were you thinking about making a move at all? Because he gets there with you. He definitely says, well, I want to be on, you know, he's got some, you know, negative context for septic versus a positive for sewer. He says it. Geez, did you have a problem? Right? So Autumn's absolutely right. If you're in the context of beats in a script, you can ask, let him respond, ask, let him respond. And by the time you're done, you're really clear what the follow-up is. Dave, same advice to you is that, you know, back then, ask, respond, ask, respond. You're actually, Dave, trying to solve a problem that's not even a BDA problem. It's a presentation problem, right? And Sarah, we need to discuss that next week. Okay.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah, that's it. That's just a problem. I mean, people don't want what you want to do to them. They don't want to be presented at, right? They want stuff that helps them. That's what they want. So, all right, listen, I do have to call it. Good job, everybody. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm definitely overtime today. I don't like to do that to you, but there was some good stuff here, and it was really important to get that stuff early on the call. Have a prosperous weekend, and I'll see you on the other side. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, this was great. Thanks, you guys.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Danny.
You're welcome all. You're welcome.
Thanks, Danny. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.